Welcome into Market Day Report. Happy Friday. Hopefully everybody's having a good one. I'm Scott Shelby, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in. Why don't we see how we did overnight, and that'll kind of give us a little bit of a jumping off point to see how these markets are going to really take us into the last day of trading, which is today, obviously. Let's take a look and see what corn did overnight for us. It was up the last time I checked. If we bring up that corn board, 4.5 cents better in that July board to 4.53 1/4. We were 3.5 cents better in the D's to 4.74 1/2. So that's pretty good, right? We'll take that overnight. Soybeans overnight, what do? Well, they were up double digits, right? So July up 12.5 cents to 12.22 1/4. But look at that, no, just made it over that $12 line at $12 1/4 cent, up 10 1/4 cents itself. How about wheat in Chicago? The Chicago wheat market, a lot of green on the screen. It makes a Friday day like this a little bit easier for me. I don't have to be coming out of the kitchen delivering cold, bad news all the time. July is up 6 3/4 cents to 6.87 3/4. That's July wheat in Chicago. D's wheat in Chicago is up 7 cents to 7.32 1/2. How about the hard red in Kansas City, you ask? Well, you get 11 3/4 cents better in that July contract to 7.21 1/4. The D's is up 11 3/4 cents to 7.52 3/4. Spring wheat, Minneapolis, that's also up. We have one double-digit gain there, but 9.5 cents better in the front month. July 7.51 1/2 is last. We've got a 10.5 cent better board in SEP, 7.62 1/4. There you go. And then finally, cotton, that had a bad day yesterday, and it's continuing a little bit here today. 93 points lower in July to 76.83 as everything kind of fell out of bed yesterday. D's is down 110 points to 75.39. All right, that brings us into our next guest analyst, the first one of the day. He's batting leadoff. That's Brian Hoops. He's with Midwest Market Solutions as the president there in Springfield, Missouri. All right, Brian, a lot of green on the screen here today. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Scott. Yeah, it's nice to see that green color on our screens, almost entirely green screens this morning so far anyway, except for the U.S. dollar. That is a little bit weaker after the core numbers that came out this morning. So good to see the dollar weakening. That helps our grain markets move a little bit higher here. The export sales that we saw this morning are pretty much just routine, not really going to give us any direction up or down for corn, soybeans, or for the wheat markets. We didn't have any private sales. It does feel like overnight we're seeing a bounce here, technical bounce more than anything. We've been down 3 consecutive days in corn and soybeans. We closed at the lowest levels since about May the 2nd for November beans and December corn. So we've pretty much wiped out the entire month of May gains that we had with the drop in prices over the last 3 or 4 trading sessions. We should go back and have a little bit of a technical bounce in here, a little bit of a retracement, I think. As the seasons are still higher, trade wants to believe we're going to move higher maybe into the June 15th, 20th time frame. Heat's supposed to move in, but I really think the heat moving in is more of a benefit to the crop than is going to help us out price-wise. That heat in the southern plains will help the winter wheat harvest move along, help that wheat to ripen up, and producers really need some heat units all the way across up into the Midwest to dry their fields out, to get the crop to germinate, to come out of the ground. And that's what's really desired, is maybe a little bit less rainfall right now and more heat. And so that forecast, pretty ideal, I think, for most of the country in the next at least week to 2 weeks.
So there's nothing that came out that said buy everything, right? I mean, it was maybe you just think this is just a technical, not a technical, maybe a little bit of a bounce going into the last day of the month after what we've seen over the last couple, 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of how I view it right this morning, because there just really isn't that news that says, hey, you got to step in and you just have to buy everything right now. I don't think that's out there. It's more of, we've been down pretty hard this week since the Monday night session highs, and we've erased a lot of gains. Let's see if this market will bounce a little bit. We're going into the end of the month here and into the weekend. We're going to see, I think, a technical bounce at least to start off the morning session.
And I kind of agree with you right now. I mean, you take a look at those drought maps. I mean, we've done a lot of work to get a lot of that bad stuff off of there. And if it does get a little bit warm, I mean, hey, it's going to be June tomorrow, and these type of things normally happen this time of year. It wouldn't be unexpected, and it might actually be, to the good, because that could actually be ultimately a bearish story, right?
Yeah, I think that's how it's going to play out, at least for the first couple of weeks of June. Heat is going to be desired. That'll be a bearish story for the market, to have to deal with in here. Now, if you get heat and dryness at a later date, that's a different story. But at least right now, when we have all this moisture to work with, we have the first crop ratings coming out of the year for the corn market. Our normal rating is about 70% good to excellent on Monday. We're probably going to be above that, I would say, on Monday's crop progress numbers.
Yeah, so if we're playing cards, and that last card we threw down was short covered by the funds as your big bullish bet, Now that card's been played. Got about 10 seconds.
Sure.
What's your next bullish card in your hand if you're playing cards? What is it?
Yeah, you're looking at, I think, late season heat and dryness. You know, all this rain shuts off. You don't get a rain again, but it's going to take some time for that story to play out.
Yep, I agree with that. That's probably the best answer. All right, stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. Come back and talk more with Brian about the old livestock market. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. Let's take a look at how we did in the livestock trade yesterday. Right, it was kind of a little lackluster, if I remember correctly. And you can see by that board, this is live cattle's closing prices yesterday. June was down 80 cents to 182.55, and that was trading heavy towards the end of the day, but really not a big change. Geese was down 72 cents to 185.77. That was live cattle. Feeder cattle, not much better, about $1.17. They actually came back from their lows. August closed down $1.17 to 259.07, and we had about a November board down $1.02 to 261.22. And then finally, let's take a look at lean hogs. They were just a tad better, just steady, a little bit better. Not a lot of action there either, but it was to the good. We were 20 cents higher in June. 93.97 was the close there, and we had a December board way out. The deferred's up 15 cents to 76.20. All right, let's bring him in and see what he's got to say about it. That's Mr. Brian Hoops. He's the president of Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, I don't know. What does it look like we're open up at this time? I mean, is there a story here, or are we just kind of be treading water?
Yeah, story maybe it's the end of the month, and so we're just still looking for that direction in the markets. Probably going to open, a very mixed type trade. June wants to trade a little firmer in here. Some of the other months, I think you're going to see more of a choppy market. Export sales were pretty much in line with where we've seen them over the last several weeks. No big surprises in the beef sales. Now, pork sales did rebound, so that market may have a tendency to try and add some premium today. It's trying to find a base of support, and did maybe yesterday, and may build off that this morning because of those decent export sales. But China's showing up again for beef and for pork. The problem that we've talked about for weeks, there's probably two of them, and one is the consumer. Where do they draw the line in the sand as far as buying beef and through the course of the summer? Do they back away from these higher prices? The other one is steer weights, which came out yesterday. Now, the good news is they were down 2 pounds compared to last week at 921 pounds. The bad news is that's still 36 pounds heavier than a year ago. So we've got tons, or a lot of tonnage, I should say, coming at this market, more than what we really can handle, even though there's less cattle to be slaughtered.
And another quick question before we go. We talked about it on the radio. How concerned are you about China not buying any new crop beans yet?
Yeah, normally they step in and buy old crop and new crop during this time frame, and they haven't done anything. I think we're seeing that they're trying to shift their buying interest away from us and to other countries. There's reports that they are ready to buy Argentina corn on GMO varieties, and that's a big change from what they've seen recently, and they're just not buying anything U.S. related here.
All right, fingers crossed. Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much, Brian Hoops. He's with Midwest Market Solutions, happens to be the president. Springfield, Missouri. We're in Nashville. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning. China, a big issue. They're the story right now.
China-Taiwan's a big issue. Yeah, and they canceled, they suspended a meat packing plant here a couple days ago, reopened about 5 of them in Australia. Something's going on.
Interesting. Thank you, Scott.